Chodesh Tov and almost Shabbat Shalom from the Dublin Hebrew congregation. It's been about a year and a half since there's been a live Kabbalat Shabbat stream from Ireland, so it's very exciting to be joining all of you this evening. For those of you that don't know much about the Irish Jewish community, let me say that it is an incredibly warm, welcoming, and close-knit community. And if you've never traveled to Ireland before and you've got a few days off over the summer, you can't go wrong by coming to visit us and enjoying the amazing nature that the Emerald Isle has to offer, and coming to see and daven here in our beautiful shul in Terenure. We are in the midst of a busy period in the calendar. This week, we celebrated Yom Yerushalayim, commemorating one of the most momentous days in modern Jewish history. Today is Rosh Chodesh. Tomorrow, we will begin reading Sefer Bemidbar, the fourth book of the Torah. And next week, we will celebrate Chag Shavuot. We will celebrate Shavuot. And it's Shavuot that I'd like to talk to you about for a few minutes. Primarily, we celebrate Shavuot as Zman Matan Toratenu, the time of us receiving the Torah at Har Sinai. But that is not the only thing that Shavuot celebrates. Because in the Torah itself, when it talks about the festival of Shavuot, it describes Shavuot as Chag HaBikurim, the celebration of the first fruits. Chag HaKatzir Bikurei Ma'asecha, the festival following the harvest of the first fruits of your labor. And the Mishnah tells us that it was for the Chag of Shavuot that people would come up from all around Eretz Yisrael to fulfill the commandment of Aliyah L'Regel, of going up for the foot festivals, and they would bring with them on Shavuot and in the weeks afterwards the finest crop of the new harvest, and they would take it to the temple as an expression of their gratitude. And when the farmers and the people would bring their bikurim on Shavuot and over the following weeks and show their thankfulness for the land of Israel, they would talk about how being brought into the land and celebrating the land was really the culmination of the process that began with leaving Egypt. And they would tell the story, the same story that we recount every year on Seder night, of how we started off being a wandering people, Arami Aved Avi. We were a wandering people with no land of our own. We went down to Egypt. Our forefathers were forced to go down to Egypt. And we were oppressed and enslaved in Egypt. And we cried out to God, Vanitzak el Hashem Elokeinu, and God redeemed us and brought us out to the desert. And the climax of that story is, Vayavienu el hamakom hazeh, God brought us to this place, Vayitein lanu es haaretz hazos, He gave us this land, Eretz avas chalav v'dvash, a land flowing with milk and honey. This is the story that every farmer, every person would recount when they would bring their first fruits on the festival of Shavuot, on Chag HaBikurim. And this is one of the ways that Shavuot is a true culmination of the process that began on Pesach with the Exodus from Egypt. Because we weren't taken out of Egypt just to roam around in the desert. We were taken out to be given a land of our own, to be given Eretz Yisrael. That's what God promised Abraham. That's what God told the people of Israel after they received the Torah, that now was not the time to hang around at the foot of the mountain. Now was the time to journey onwards to the promised land, to go and fulfill the teachings of the Torah in the land. So we count up every year, like we've been doing for the last 7 weeks, from Pesach to Shavuot, because Shavuot really is the completion of the journey that we started over Pesach. On Shavuot, we are not just a free nation that's been redeemed from Egypt, but we're a free nation with the Torah, and specifically with the Torah in our own land in Eretz Yisrael. We're no longer a wandering people. We're no longer strangers in a foreign land at the mercy of other nations. We have our own land, which we can live in without being fearful, which we can live in without being subject to what the host people might do to us. So in addition to Shavuot being Zman Matan Toratenu, being the time where we receive the Torah, it's really in the Torah a time of celebration and gratitude for having the land of Israel. And interestingly enough, in the early 20th century, the idea of Shavuot, the celebration of Shavuot as a Chag HaBikurim, as a celebration of the first fruits of the land, had a bit of a renaissance. As mass aliyah to Eretz Yisrael increased rapidly, many early Zionists saw Shavuot as the perfect opportunity to celebrate the land of Israel, because that's how the Torah describes it. And in some of the newly founded yeshuvim, they even introduced ceremonies that reenacted in some small way the ceremonies of bringing the Bikurim to the temple. But for the most part, throughout our history, this side of the festival of Shavuot tends to have been overlooked. We tend not to speak about it so much. But Shavuot as Chag HaBikurim, as a culmination of the journey that started on Pesach, of being brought into the lands, of being given Eretz Yisrael, it's something that is so important for us to remember and to appreciate, no less because we're not living in the land of Israel. And especially in a year like this year, when we have a strong realization that having the land of Israel and being safe and secure inside it is not something that we can simply take for granted. And when so many people, mostly around us, but also amongst us, are seriously questioning our sovereignty over the land of Israel, we ought to remember that being brought into Eretz Yisrael was the real climax of the Exodus story. It was the real climax of our journey in the desert that we read about this week, that we've been counting up over the last 7 weeks. And we ought to appreciate the huge gift that is Eretz Yisrael, that is the land of Israel, as we head into next week, Chag HaBikurim, the festival of Shavuot, and as we head now into Shabbat, which we'll do now by singing Kabbalat Shabbat together. So we're going to start with Yedid Nefesh on your screens now. Yedid Nefesh Avarachaman Meshoich Avdecha El Ritzoinecha Yaretz Avdecha Kemayal Yishtachavel Mul Hadarecha Yeravlai Yedidai Secha Minai Fetzuf Vechaltam Hadur Noe Ziv Hailam Nafshi Chayela Savasecha Ana El Narefanala Ve'haraisla Nayam Zivecha Astis Chazeg Vesis Rapei Ve'hayesala Simcha Saylam Vasik Yehemuna Rachamecha V'chusana Beinahu V'cha Ki Zekama Nichsafti Lirais Meira Besiferes Uzecha Eya Chamda Libi V'chusana Ve'yati Salam Higalena Ufrois Chavivi Alai Esukas Sheloi Mecha Ta'eret Michmaidecha Nagila Venis Mechavach Maher Dehoi kiva mayed v'chaneinu ki me'olam. Easy part. In a nine 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 nine, in a nine 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 nine, in a nine 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 nine, in a nine 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 nine, in a nine 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 nine, in a nine 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 nine. In a nine 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 nine, in a nine 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 nine, in a nine 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 nine, in a nine 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 nine, in a nine 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 nine, in a nine 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 nine. In nine 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 nine, in nine 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 nine, in nine 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 nine. In the 99999, in the 9999, in the 9999, in the 999999999, in the 9999, in the 9999, in the 999999. Shabbat shalom to everybody sending messages from Woodford, from Ilford, from Milton Keynes, from Chigwell, everyone else who I missed. Shabbat shalom to you all. We'll start now. L'chon aran aladai nai nari alitzer yishainu nekad man fanam v'sainam Arba'im shana kudmedai v'yaymar am tayei leivavheim v'heim layadu darachai asher nishpatim yapi im yevayon el menuchasi shir ladainai shir chadash shir ladainai kol haaretz Shiro ladainai varcho shemai Basru miyayim lehiyayim Yeshua Sai sapru v'agayim Chevai dayi bechal ha'amim Nifleo isav Ki gadai ladainai Yomulal meyahid Hinai rahu Al kol Elohim ayay ki kol Elohim amemililim V'Adonai shamayim asar Hayd v'hadar lefanav v'siferes b'migdashay Havul Adonai mishbechai samim Havul Adonai kavay v'yais Havul Adonai kevayt shemai Hiseu mincha vayulech atzraisav Ishtachavu Adonai behadras kaidesh chelum yipanav kol haaretz Imru v'agayim Adonai malach avti kain tevel ba'al timait Yadinamim b'mei sharim yismechu hashamayim v'sagei la'aretz Yiram hayam u'meloyai Hi'alai sadai v'chol asher bai ayai az yiranenu kol hatzeyar lifnei Adonai kiva Kiva lishbait haaretz yishbait tevel b'tzedek ve'yamim b'emunasai ninanai nanai nai dinanai. Easy part. Inai nai 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 nai. Inai nai 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 nai. Inai nai 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 nai. Adonai malach dagei la'aretz. I have Adonai Sinura Shomer Nafshais Chasidav Miyad Rishayim Yatzin Lehem Arzarol Atzadik Uli Yishrei Leik Simcha Simchu Tzadikim Adonai V'Haidu Lezecher Kodshai Mizmar Shur Adonai Shur Chadash Kniflas Hasai Shalom Yiram hayomim layai tevel v'yoshev eva ne'arai simcha uchav yachad harim yiraneinu lifnei Adonai kiva lishbai taret yishbai tevel betzadek miyamim b'meisharim Adonai malach yingurzu amim. Be'amud anan yidaber aleihem shamru eidaisa v'vechai gnasan lamai Adonai Eloheinu ata nisam el noisei yisalahem v'noi keim al aliloisam roimemu Adonai Eloheinu mishtachavu lahar kodshai ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Mizmar leDavid Havul Adonai b'nei Elim Havul Adonai kavod v'ois Havul Adonai kavod shema yishtach Havul Adonai b'hadras kodesh Kohel Adonai al hamayim Ehela kavod nirim Adonai al mayim rabim Koil Adonai bakayach Koil Adonai mehadar Koil Adonai shover harazim Vayishaber Adonai ezar ze halvanayin V'hayar kidem k'ma yegel levanayin v'sir yain k'may v'ein re'imim ayay k'hoil Adonai chayzev l'avoseish k'hoil Adonai yachil midbar Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh Kahil Adonai chayle layolois Vayechesayf Yerois Uvechalai Kulayoi merakavoid Ayay Adonai lama vul yoshav Vayeshev Adonai melech li'olam Adonai le'am yitain Adonai yevarech es amoy v'shalom Hinai nai 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 ya nai 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 Lehechadaydi elekras kala Penei Shabbos nekabela Lehechadaydi elekras kala Penei Shabbos nekabela Shamar v'zachar b'dibur echad ishmiyanu Elam yechad Adonai yechad Ushma yechad l'shem u'l'siferes V'helisila lehechad oidi lehikras kala Penei Shabbos nekabela likra Shabbos lecha v'nei lecha ki mekar haberacha meiraish mikadem nesucha soif maaseh v'machshava tchila lecha doidi likras kala Penei Shabbos nekabela Mikdash melech melucha kumitzei mitai chafecha Rav loch sheves b'yei mekabocha vehu yachamol Allah yichem lo lecha doidi likras kalo Penei Shabbos nekabela His nari meyafar kumi livshi vigdei Sefartecha mi al yad ben Yishai Beis alach mi karavoel Einafshi geyala Gechadadi likras kalo Penei Shabbos nekabela Hisayreri kivayrech Kumiyari ori shir daberi kavay dadoinai Alayich nigla lehechadaidi likras kala Penei Shabbos nekabela Yom bam loy say vayshi veloy sikal mi mahanish tay chachi matami bam bach yachasu ani yami vanivne sair atila lechanoini likras kala Penei Shabbos nekabela Hayalecha noini likras kala Penei Shabbos nekabela Ahai V'hayulim shisa shayesayich Hiverachaku kol mevalayich Ahai, nay, Yasis alayich, elayich, Hikim sais chasana kala, Hayalecha doini likras kala, Penei Shabbos nekabela, Hayalecha doini likras kala, Penei Shabbos nekabela Yom bam Yaminu smile Tifraiti Vesadoinai Taritzi bam Al Yahadish Ben Arati Evan Ismacha Nagila Lechadaini Likras Kala Penei Shabbos nekabela Hayalechadaini Likras Kala Penei Shabbos nekabela Ahai Ivayi v'shalai materes bala Higam v'simcha v'tzala Ahai Hitai chamunei Am segula Ivayi chala Hayalecha doini likras kala Penei Shabbos nekabela Hayalecha doini likras kala. Panei Shabbos nei Shabbos nei Kabbalah. We're going to conclude here because if we'd go any further, then we'd be bringing in Shabbos, and there's about 3 hours until candlelighting time here in Dublin. But thank you all so much for joining me. It was wonderful to be able to sing Kabbalat Shabbat with all of you this evening, and I wish you all a Chodesh Tov, a Chag Sameach, and a Shabbat Shalom.